All right, with Occupy Wall Street all over the nation, we have seen people come out onto the streets to protest the economic system itself. And director and filmmaker Peter Joseph is one who advocates for a total overhaul. So we are going to get more into what he thinks of this movement and also what he thinks of changes to the economic system. So, Peter, let's get back into this because, as I said, Occupy Wall Street is on the streets protesting the economic system. It's also a leaderless movement. I'm curious how you see, if you see them as having their intentions in the right place.
Intentions, absolutely. But until answers are proposed, until people get together and to think about a solution, not much is going to be accomplished, unfortunately. It's an awareness protest movement. It's really important what they're doing. I think it's really another systemic outgrowth of destabilization. I've been expecting this type of thing to happen for a long time. Occupy Wall Street and the global Occupy movement, which is really the most important attribute of it, because this isn't just about Wall Street, this isn't just about the United States. It is really about the total global financial system and the inherent flaws of the market system. Even though many people in the movement don't even discuss those issues, they're expressing their angst, and rightly so. What I would like to state, though, is that the 1% are not something to be demonized per se. The 1% are simply the best game players in this game strategy that's been generated. The 99% have let the 1% come to their place as easily as anything, because the 99% basically have been supporting all the mechanisms that enable the 1%. This system is based on a structural classism. It's always in favor of the wealthy. I don't mean that just from lobbying and government intervention. The very basis of the structure, from the bankings and the loans and the interest system, really supports that. So if the Occupy movement really wants to get down to brass tacks, they're really going to have to start addressing these root issues that I talk about and that my movement talks about and many others talk about as well, and then think about what the solution is. I really believe in the Buckminster-Fuller notion that it's not about fighting some system anymore. It's about building a new design that makes the other one obsolete and getting the public to understand it, and then the game is basically over.
And it's kind of evolution that you talk about, but I'm just really curious kind of how you do that and how long you see that needing to take, because I don't know if you saw the Black Friday videos of people attacking each other for $2 waffle makers. I'm going to play a tiny montage for our audience. I'm sure you can imagine from the noises what's going on in them.
Guys, calm down.
Peter, it sounds like riots. It looks a little like riots. Unfortunately, it's people clamoring for video games. I wouldn't want to get between them and their video games. How do you get between them and their video games, and how long is that going to take?
Yeah, good question. I'd like to point out that before World War II, consumption in America was half of what it is now per person. The ravenous consumption mentality has really been imposed on culture by advertising, and it's very important people see that. So when you see that aberrant behavior of such, it's a cultural anomaly. We need that in the market system to enable consumption to be as rampant as possible, to keep this infinite growth paradigm going, unfortunately. So how do you change that issue? Is that your question? How do you get people to see the light?
Absolutely. Well, put down the video games.
Yeah, as though those are life-supporting elements anyway.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, you have to. There's a massive educational paradigm that I can't talk about enough. The social breakdown of society is going to open minds. This is the biosocial pressure that has basically caused every major shift in human society. The problems that are on the horizon are going to slowly get everyone to step back and say, what do we do now? And that's where I think the importance of you and everyone that's aware of this, we have to get together and show people what a solution can be and get them on board and get a mass movement, if you will, to enable it to come forward. Now, that sounds very simplistic and it's an overgeneralization, but it's not going to happen through government policy. Governments are far too interlocked today into the corporate institution. Governments are corporations. All the U.S. government is a parent corporation of all these subsidies known as basically the industry central. That's really all the U.S. government does. It's funded, supported, and regulated by corporations. It always was, by the way. This isn't some anomaly that occurred. It's just the nature of the game. We shouldn't expect anything less.
All right,
so
Peter,
I think it's a mass grassroots movement.
Mass
Sorry?
grassroots movement. Sounds like there's going to be a
Yes.
lot of movement needed in order to get to where you're saying we need to be. So I certainly credit you for, trying and for coming on our show and talking all about this. That's Peter Joseph,
Sure.
filmmaker and director. He's with the Zeitgeist movement. Thanks so much, Peter.